you're not paying me and you're refusing to let me work somewhere else. I sued him for the contract and won.
Among the pantheon of Hollywood's brightest names, few shine with the relentless fire of Shirley MacLaine. From her earliest roles to her recent appearances, this fiery redhead captivated audiences with a unique blend of strength and tenderness, earning not just awards, but deep respect from critics and fans alike. Over the course of more than 60 years, her artistry shaped unforgettable performances, bringing her an Oscar, multiple Golden Globes, and a place in cinematic history. Rather than chasing trends or settling for mediocrity, she committed herself to emotional honesty in every role, a trait that shines through in her iconic work in The Apartment, Terms of Endearment, and Steel Magnolias. Though the spotlight often celebrated her brilliance, the backstage reality tells a deeper story, one marked by her unrelenting dedication to craft. Away from the applause, Shirley MacLaine's strict standards often turned collaborative spaces into tense battlegrounds, especially when those around her failed to meet the same level of intensity. Her tireless pursuit of artistic truth wasn't rooted in arrogance, but in a belief that storytelling was sacred. When tensions flared on set, it was typically not about pride or power, but about maintaining the integrity of the work she so deeply valued. Those behind-the-scenes challenges speak volumes, revealing an actress who refused to compromise. She clashed not for drama's sake, but because she viewed sloppiness or indifference as a betrayal of the art form. What these infamous on-set tensions highlight is how fiercely she protected her creative standards. It wasn't that she disliked her co-stars, it's that she simply couldn't ignore what she perceived as a threat to excellence. Collaborating with others of similar stature required more than just talent. It demanded humility and grace. When those ingredients were missing, even the most brilliant actors could find themselves at odds. 6 particular encounters give us a deeper look into the fire that fueled her, moments that exposed both her brilliance and her battle scars. Each of these relationships unfolded not on red carpets, but in the trenches of the filmmaking process, where chemistry and chaos often coexisted. Julia Roberts. When Julia Roberts showed up on the Steel Magnolias set in 1989, she radiated the thrilling buzz of Hollywood's next big thing. Hot off her breakthrough success, Roberts was already being embraced as America's beloved rising star. Yet for Shirley MacLaine, the excitement of working with this new talent quickly faded as she began to see a lack of rigor in Julia's approach. Watching Roberts' seemingly relaxed attitude toward the work, MacLaine couldn't help but compare it to her own years of honing the craft. Their differing methods became clear during early script readings, where generations clashed instead of blended. Roberts' raw, instinct-driven performance style often conflicted with MacLaine's deliberate and highly rehearsed delivery. Director Herbert Ross had to skillfully manage the tightrope between his seasoned ensemble and the charismatic new addition. Julia had a presence that lit up a room, but MacLaine needed more than presence. She wanted depth. Roberts' spontaneity, which thrilled audiences, grated on MacLaine during the salon scenes that required tight ensemble coordination. According to crew members, Shirley MacLaine would ask for extra takes, not for technical glitches, but to draw more intensity from Roberts. The younger actress's charm may have stolen hearts, but for MacLaine, it lacked the gravity Shelby's role demanded. This difference in philosophy turned the beauty parlor scenes into a quiet battleground over artistic integrity. Even as the cameras kept rolling and the film came together, their personal rift never quite healed. Despite keeping things civil on set, the early creative friction had already done its damage. "You don't get by in this business with talent alone," MacLaine later told a reporter bluntly. In her eyes, success required grit, discipline, and something deeper than fame or charisma. Roberts, on the other hand, didn't walk away unchanged. She came to understand just how high the bar is when you're sharing scenes with a legend. Dustin Hoffman. Few failed to notice the unrealized magic between Shirley MacLaine and Dustin Hoffman, a duo that never quite materialized on screen. Their near misses became legendary, examples of what happens when two perfectionists see the craft through different lenses. In the 1970s and 80s, their names floated around many projects that never moved past development. More often than not, it was their clashing creative energies that stalled these pairings before the first take. Behind closed doors, casting directors would trade stories about how MacLaine struggled with Hoffman's endless pursuit of emotional truth. He was known for his need to dissect and reshoot scenes until he uncovered what he believed was real. But for MacLaine, this obsessive exploration often drained the soul out of a performance before the camera even rolled. She preferred arriving prepared, fully inhabiting the role through instinct, rather than constant analysis. One clash that got further than most happened during pre-production of a dramatic film in the early 80s. Their disagreement over how to rehearse became a sticking point no one could ignore. Hoffman insisted on deep character breakdowns and extensive rehearsal, while MacLaine pushed for emotional spontaneity on set. "He wanted to examine every single sentence," said one executive who sat in on their tense creative meetings. MacLaine, however, saw that level of preparation as dangerous, potentially smothering the rawness that gives a scene its soul. She believed some magic can only appear when the camera's rolling and instincts take over. Though the film never got made, the memory of their artistic deadlock remains a classic what could have been in Hollywood lore. And perhaps it's better that way. Some chemistry is so combustible, it's safer left imagined. Although they admired each other's skill deeply, their clashing methods made it impossible to collaborate smoothly. From the outside, it was clear they shared a drive for greatness, yet neither could bend their ingrained approaches to fit the other's style. In her own words, Shirley MacLaine once remarked during an interview, "We're both obsessive about our craft." But she added, "We define excellence from totally different angles." Frank Sinatra. Something strange happened to me the other day. I didn't exactly channel Sinatra, but I felt something close. I was thinking about someone else entirely. But before I could finish the thought, Frank showed up in my mind. The friction between Shirley MacLaine and Frank Sinatra, while filming Some Came Running in 1958, became a defining moment in MacLaine's early journey. Back then, MacLaine was just breaking into Hollywood, while Sinatra, already an icon, operated with an instinct-first attitude that dismissed the need for preparation. His belief was simple. Spontaneous emotions made for real performances, and he rarely wanted more than 2 takes. To MacLaine, a newcomer with a disciplined method acting style, Sinatra's fast-paced rhythm was equal parts dazzling and maddening. Caught in the middle, director Vincente Minnelli had to juggle the expectations of both, a seasoned icon and a rising perfectionist. Frank played acting like it was jazz, remembered assistant director Ridgway Callow, while Shirley treated it like a symphony, precise and rehearsed. But their clashing wasn't just about timing or takes, it went deeper, down to the question of what acting should truly stand for. MacLaine believed Sinatra's casual genius didn't show enough reverence for the artistic process she poured herself into. Her calls for more takes and deeper emotional exploration irritated Sinatra, who had little patience for overthinking. This tug-of-war resulted in blow-ups, silences, and constant tension on set, making it difficult to find creative harmony. Their conflict also mirrored a shift in Hollywood's power dynamics, where newer, outspoken stars like Shirley MacLaine dared to question long-standing male authority. "Shirley didn't shrink from anyone," Minnelli once stated, "not even Sinatra." And that was rare courage in those days. Jack Nicholson. Do you recall that scene where Aurora glides over and says, "Didn't you ask me to lunch a year ago or so?" That line captures something deeper. The simmering spark between Shirley MacLaine and Jack Nicholson during Terms of Endearment. On the surface, both were seasoned legends bringing Oscar-caliber force to their performances, yet beneath it, creative sparks flew. Nicholson's effortless charm and improvisational instincts, which had dazzled audiences for decades, were met head-on by MacLaine's disciplined intent. While he riffed freely in scenes, she insisted on structure and careful emotional layering, 2 magnets spinning in opposite directions. According to crew accounts, their scenes buzzed with charged silence and heated energy, even when cameras weren't rolling. "They reminded me of rival alphas," said cinematographer Andrei Barkowiak. "Each powerful, each unyielding." That power struggle peaked when Nicholson's larger-than-life delivery clashed with MacLaine's quiet strength and controlled focus. Director James L. Brooks found himself not just guiding performances, but mediating debates about what truth looked like in a scene. These discussions often spilled beyond rehearsals, stretching late into the night as both refused to yield. Still, there was no denying that, underneath it all, a deep professional admiration held their friction together. "He's relentless and brilliant," MacLaine admitted, "and honestly, I think he'd say the same about me." Their partnership showed that while great talent doesn't always mean easy teamwork, it often leads to unforgettable work. Anthony Hopkins. While they never fully starred opposite each other, Shirley MacLaine and Anthony Hopkins' near misses became industry legend. Their few creative meetings in the 90s gave insiders a glimpse into two titans whose brilliance refused to bend. Hopkins, with his meticulous, note-perfect preparation, approached characters like puzzles to be solved with exacting care. Meanwhile, MacLaine brought a soulful, instinctive energy, believing that acting should come from spirit, not science. Even during casual casting sessions, the temperature in the room would shift, respectful but tense. One producer called their dynamic a collision of titanic certainty, where no middle ground could easily exist. "Anthony prepares like he's heading into surgery," noted casting head Marion Doherty, while Shirley dances with the moment like a jazz soloist. Adding fuel to the fire, their different cultural roots in acting, British technique versus American spontaneity, only widened the gap. They spoke about craft, but quickly hit walls, debating whether truth comes from logic or from feeling. Despite mutual respect for each other's accolades, they couldn't find a bridge between their processes. Producer Scott Rudin summed it up best: "They're both perfectionists, but their roads to perfection couldn't be more different." Deborah Winger. Deborah Winger's working relationship with MacLaine during the filming of Terms of Endearment remains one of the most talked about dynamics in film history. Their creative collision wasn't just gossip, it was a philosophical war between different acting ideologies. While MacLaine leaned on her years of formal training and structure, Winger immersed herself deeply in method acting, a technique that sometimes blurred the boundaries between fiction and real life. From the very first rehearsals, it became evident they were approaching the same material from vastly different worlds. Director James L. Brooks witnessed the tension firsthand, describing a growing disconnect as Winger's intense routines clashed with MacLaine's collaborative style. The real flashpoint came during a heated scene where, in the heat of the moment, Winger physically lifted MacLaine off the ground, breaking more than just character boundaries. The production team was stunned as MacLaine responded immediately and firmly, making it clear she would not tolerate such outbursts. Even in the name of art, there were limits she refused to allow others to cross. In an interview with Film Comment, costume designer Christy Zia reflected, "Deborah wanted to embody her role 24/7, but Shirley was about control and balance." Their contrasting methods underscored a deeper divide about professionalism and responsibility on set. Beyond mere technique, their conflict touched on what it means to work as part of a creative team. MacLaine felt that Winger's unpredictable moods weren't passion, they were distractions from the harmony that ensemble work demands. Internal studio records from the production showed that director Brooks had to carefully choreograph their interactions, sometimes rehearsing them separately just to keep peace. Managing the tension between these two powerhouse performers wasn't just a challenge, it became an essential part of getting the film made at all. Few in the industry missed the strange truth. Their behind-the-scenes tension somehow fueled electric on-screen chemistry. Rather than softening the blow, their real-life discord only deepened the emotional weight of their mother-daughter dynamic. What's fascinating is how discomfort often gives birth to brilliance, as MacLaine once admitted during an interview with Variety. Still, she made it clear, it wasn't a journey she particularly enjoyed traveling, despite the result.